Hello, Mr. Bates here, and this is a presentation for the expedition section for parents and is also for students. Just like to say well done to all those students who are currently continuing with their skills of volunteering in their practice. As we said, 1 hour a week counts for 1 week in terms of time. Once that's been completed, make sure you get your assessor's report filled out from that little booklet that was handed out to you, and then upload it onto DofE, and we can get that section signed off. So with regards to the expedition, I'll put some information on the Abbey Park website, and that can be found at Life at Our School, and then that's it under clubs and enrichments. So the main purpose of the expedition is to inspire the young people to develop their own initiative, to get a spirit of adventure and discovery, and they need to plan and they need to train to complete their expedition. That has to be unaccompanied and self-reliant, and what they do as a group is they will each come up with an agreed aim. So rather than them looking at their feet, the idea might be, let's look at the impact of vehicles on the Ridgeway, for example, or let's look at the impact of wildlife. It might be that they focus on their teamwork, what happens throughout the day. All participants must do the practice expedition and a qualifying expedition. The qualifying expedition is the one that's assessed, and they have to complete the section. So what they have is that myself and the assessor has as well, is we have a set of 20 conditions, and those 20 conditions between us have to be met for those students to accomplish their award. So for example, they have to eat a hot cook meal at one stage. So expedition details, you'll get a lot more information on a letter, and all the dates and further timings will be on there. And the idea is that the training day, we're just going to come off timetable at school. So come to school, it'll be a normal day, and what they do is in the evening, once we've finished kind of all the training sessions, we'll go onto the field in the evening and we'll camp the night at Abbey Park School on the field. The next morning, what we'll do is I'm going to drop the students off a little bit further down the road at the end of a place called Hayes Knoll, which is the other side of the Cricklade Railway, and then they're going to walk towards Cricklade and eventually get onto the Thames Path. And the idea behind that is then they come back and then they're going to get to the hopefully to the Cricklade rugby field at 3 o'clock at the latest. So if we can get you guys to pick up at 3 o'clock, that would be greatly appreciated. I have got limited spaces on the bus, so if your students would like to come in the bus, please tell me and I can drop them back at the school at a later time. The expedition, or the assessment expedition, we're going to meet at the Mugger, or at the front in the car park at 9:45. And then what we're going to do is then we will drive off to Ashbury Folly area, just by Whitehorse Hill, Uffington, and then they'll walk on the Saturday across the Lambourne Downs, and then they were going to get to a place called Farncombe Farm. So that's where we're going to camp for the night. And then they will do another walk on the Sunday, and we are aiming to get back at Abbey Park School for 4 o'clock on the Sunday. Okay. For those of you not familiar, this is obviously, you can see where my arrow is. This is the A419. This is for the pickup on the Saturday for the practice expedition. If you come down the A419, down the Blunsdon Hill, and come off on the Cricklade Junction, and then it's go across the first roundabout, take a right at the second mini roundabout. Immediately on the right, there's a load of fields, and we're going to aim to finish there, right close along where the River Thames is. So that hopefully that's where the pickup will be for that one. Just in terms of, please can you keep any school records of contact details, etc. updated, and I will pull those school details off so I can get allergies, medications and stuff like that, and also make sure that I've got up-to-date contact details for you guys. I will give you an emergency phone number for you to be able to contact me, but if your student does have any allergies, medications, I'm happy to discuss those, and we can work out a plan if needs be of how to make that work for your student. Another good thing is, if your student is happy, is to make their other team members aware of these things as well, and they can obviously help them out along the way if required. So a little bit about the training day. The training day, we're going to look at maps, navigation, route planning. We're going to look at some equipment and rucksack packing. We're going to do that a little bit beforehand as well. Main focus is going to be on some hazards along the way, such as other wildlife, other people, roads and stuff like that. We're going to look at stove safety and use, how to cook the food. We're going to touch upon some first aid and emergency procedures, what to do if something happens. We're going to look at the country code and to ensure success on the expedition, and we're going to look at the aims of the expedition and putting up tents and taking down tents. When we do the practiced expedition, though, we're looking at campcraft. How tidy are they putting all their stuff away in their tent in the evenings? Are they looking after themselves in terms of personal preservation? So on the assessment expedition, they're expected to walk for 2 days and do 1 night out. So at least 6 hours of the day should be them. They need to be out, and at least 3 of them must be journeying. So on average, the students travel 12 to 16 kilometres a day, and that 16 kilometres per day, and that's something, the route that we will plan beforehand, and there'll be like a series of checkpoints along the way that they might have to meet. In terms of food, I'm going to be doing, or have run, or may have not yet, I'm going to do a little bit of a meeting after school. I've also got a video on Mr. Bates' education and instruction about food menu ideas. But as you can see here, this is what students will cook on. So this is called a trangia. So they will have 2 bowls. They've got like a lid that can also be used as a frying pan. And it might be, they might have to cook with fuel, or they might have to cook with gas. So that's a consideration that they need to think about with terms of cooking. Oh, gone back one there. Let me go back down here. So this is something that I'm going to talk about with the students. This is their menu expedition planner. So as you can see, they need to have, on day 1, they need to have snacks, lunch and a dinner, and then on day 2, breakfast, snacks, lunch and emergency rations. Can I just make sure that all students have a really good breakfast before they arrive to the expedition, and also make sure that the night before they're not eating anything that they've not really done before. We've had one incident with a student that couldn't continue on the Saturday because he'd been out on a Friday night and had a bit of a bellyache. Main things to consider with food are you need to like it. It's got to be non-perishable, so like no pears, squashy pears and stuff like that. It needs to be kind of robust. Got to think about the weight impacts and also about being compact. So like canned food, it could be quite heavy, for example. I'm not saying don't bring it, but you just got to think about the consequences of carrying stuff like that. So there's a little overview in the top corner here. So lunch for 2 days, breakfast for 1 day, dinner for 1 day, snacks. I say no fizzy drinks, and students have to carry at least a minimum of 2 litres of water. So, and we will provide water stations at different points throughout if required to top their water up. So here's a consideration here, some wayfarers. A lot of students get these. They have them for their evening meal, and also they might have them for breakfast. As you say, you can get them from Go Outdoors, Cotswold Camp. You can usually get some good deals on, buy 2 for the price of 1, etc. So look out for those. And as I said, one of the conditions is they have to be seen. The assessor will have to see them cooking a hot meal for that day. So that's like nice and convenient. The bonus about these as well is that you can eat them straight out of the bag and you don't have to worry about dishes. In terms of equipment, Duke of Edinburgh, and there's many places to look. They do lots of guides. So these are kind of like just to help you, but this is a picture of the young students, so you can get an idea of what they're wearing. Yeah, they did bump into a local dog on their walk that joined them for a little bit, but if we can see over here, this young lady here has got a well-fitting rucksack. So rucksacks, I'm talking about a bit more, but 65 litres minimum. And then she's put a little carry mat on the bottom here. But in terms of their clothing, they've got sturdy shoes, sturdy trainers, and pretty much all the girls tend to wear leggings. And some of the boys can wear shorts if they want to, but the leggings, the idea was you've got to be a little bit careful about potential of ticks, and that can be sort of minimised by insect repellent as well. So lightweight t-shirts and stuff, and then you've got some little fleeces that they're wearing. and then obviously sun protection, so sun hats, sunglasses, and so on. So this is a kit list that I'm going to give out to you guys, to all the students. And if we have a little look at the bottom, in terms of what I give to the students, I'm going to give them some group kit. So those students are going to have a tent, and it might be shared between either 2 or 3 of them. And I will give them a cooking stove, so they will have to carry that as well between the 2 or 3, and they can split all that up together. I'll also give them maps. I will give them compasses, so no need to buy compasses. But this is just like a guide for you guys. So, for example, just check the weather as well, because it does say like bring gloves and stuff like that. But I wouldn't worry too much about under a thermal trap unless your student gets really cold. The other thing is I have a limited supply of rucksacks and sleeping mats. So if you do not wish to purchase those and you would like to borrow, please speak to me as soon as you can, and I will see what I can do with regards to lending you those items as well. Okay. Up here, the main thing is sort of like a little first aid kit. Bring some like small plasters, and I would put all those kind of in maybe like a little Ziploc bag or a food bag for safety. And just remember personal medications. If you bring your inhalers or your tablets and so on, we can talk about those. Also with your toothbrush, toothpaste and so on, that can go in just like a nice little Ziploc bag or a little a food bag. But as I say, there's lots and lots of stuff out there on the internet to help you, to give you some guidance. I'll give you a little bit more help now as we go along. So, as I said, rucksack, 65 litre minimum. Make sure you get one with a good waistband, because the idea behind these waistbands is it takes all the weight off the shoulders. So when you go to the shop, if you are going to buy your own, make sure you get one that is really well fitting. I found that some rucksacks don't fit students well, particularly females, because they just don't tend to fit their shape. Yeah, good shoulder straps that are adjustable, and usually they have a little bit of a section in the back here that goes up and down that can help fit smaller students if need be. Okay. As we say, there's lots of things about packing. Usually sleeping stuff goes in the bottom because you don't need it, and then spare clothes. But make sure with the rucksacks that you line them. You can either buy a very fancy dry bag, or you can stick the whole lot inside a bin bag to keep dry if it does rain. But sleeping bags have to be in a dry bag or a bin bag separately as well. They are really important because they can be used, the sleeping bag and the tent can be used in emergency to get warm if the weather is really bad. But hopefully for us, we're doing it in the summer and it should not. But so just a reminder to save space in the bag for either part of a tent or a trangia. And big thing is, I would like all students to actually pack their own bags so that they know what on earth is inside those bags. And because otherwise they'd be like, what on earth? I don't know, my mum packed it, I don't know what I've got in here. Footwear. So important to have sturdy trainers or walking boots or sturdy walking trainers. The thing about walking boots is they're very good ankle support, and they will help a lot more in wetter conditions. But the key thing with any of these trainers or walking boots is to make sure that they're worn in. We've had lots of problems with people buying brand new boots, they're not worn in, and then they get blisters on their feet. Okay. But I'm also a big advocate of making sure that you have a good pair of socks. So you can maybe bring 2 good pairs of socks, one for the Saturday, one for the Sunday, and that's really helpful. At least then you can wear socks at a later date as well for your own experiences. So here's a little bit of a picture of, in terms of more of a winter situation, but in terms of what I would bring on an expedition. So I work on a layering principle. So this is my Under Armour or thermal or skin, as students call them. So that's on a cold day, I would put that straight underneath. I've got a t-shirt that is nice and wicking, just like you could potentially, students, if you need to, they could wear their Abbey Park PE t-shirt. That's really good type of material, football shirt material. And then I've got a little fleece here, very thin fleece. And then my next layer would be something like a little thin jacket here, and then the next layer obviously would be waterproof. So this would probably, this layering system would be ideal, particularly for the winter, very cold weather. But in the evenings, I might even have to put the fleece on or someone, or even this jacket to help me if I get a bit cold. And then if we look over here in terms of trousers and stuff like that, there's my good pair of socks. I bought some socks that are merino wool, and then if I very rarely wear these trousers unless it's very cold, and then I've got a lightweight pair of trousers. So as I say, jean material is absolutely used. Tracksuit bottom material is not good because it gets wet, heavy, and very soggy. So if you've got some lightweight leggings or very thin trousers, that's very useful. Okay, and at the top I put my hat and a head torch. So other things to consider, obviously, is sunscreen. That's my little cooking set there, or sort of my eating set, just a bowl. I've got a spork, or a lot of other students have those lightweight fork set there. I bring a cup. I like my cups of tea, and I've acquired a couple of sachets of salt and pepper just to add some seasoning, and I've got a little scouring pad there. Looks a bit old and tatty at the moment, but that scouring pad is to wash up afterwards. I will provide bowls to wash up, fairy liquid, and stuff like that for the dishes. But yeah, you can have a buff hat, but also, yeah, make sure every student has got a sun hat. They can bring sunglasses, and the main things I concern about on the expedition is either the students getting cold or getting sunburn. That's my main concern. So waterproofs are a must-have. Best to stick them in the top of the rucksack and make sure they're easy accessible, because if it does start raining, it's best to get them on straight away, and then you're not miserable. You can buy these quite cheap ones that are Peter Storm packable jackets and packable trousers, and they pack down into little pouches. You can go and buy expensive jackets, but as I say, just make sure that you think about, are you going to get some more use out of these? You could maybe say, right, I'm going to buy a decent waterproof jacket and use it to wear to school, for example, okay? But there's some money-saving tips there from Go Outdoors, and say a good proofer will help you get the most out of your waterproofs and so on. Sleeping bags. My one's a 1-season sleeping bag. I would suggest a 1 or 2 season. That was an OEX Rome 100. But what I also do is I have a liner as well. The idea behind the liner, it bumps the temperature up a little bit for me. And also it keeps the inside of my sleeping bag clean, so I don't have to worry about washing it too often. And what these sleeping bags do come with sometimes, in the top there, I've put another sleeping bag in there. They come with either a stuff sack or a dry bag. Stuff sacks are great because it really compresses them down, or you can put them straight into a dry. So that's that sleeping bag and the liner inside this dry bag. You can really squish it down to get to the bottom of your bag. If you don't have a dry bag like that, then as I say, you need to make sure that you put your sleeping bag in a bin bag or a plastic bag to keep it dry. Other things to consider, you've got a sleeping mat. You can either go for a nice foam mat or a bit more of an expensive self-inflatable mat. So there's a couple of options there for sleeping. But one main thing is make sure you check your equipment at the shop. This young man, long time ago, did a silver expedition, and he approached us in the morning and told us he was very cold. And he said his dad had been shopping. He'd got the cheap, really good deal on it. It was supposed to be a good sleeping bag, but he hadn't checked the size. So even though, despite he was 6 foot, that is the actual size of the sleeping bag there. So I think he managed to keep his knees warm that evening. So make sure you do check all equipment, give it a test, give it a try, make sure that it is suitable for you. Okay. But thank you. I think I've got it all covered. If I haven't, and if you've got any questions, then give me a shout. Give me an email. I am going to do some sessions after school with the students, but email me at bates@abbeyparkschool.org.uk. And as I said, if you need some help with regards to acquiring equipment, give me a shout. Go to you should have your discount cards. If you go into Cotswold Outdoors, they will get a bit more of an expensive shop. They will give you discounts. Speak to any outdoor retailer and say, look, I'm doing Duke of Edinburgh, but Go Outdoors is our main kind of shop around here as well. Go online and see what deals. Or the other thing is to borrow equipment from other people. That's a good suggestion. See what family you've got, and if in doubt, give me a shout and I can try and help you. Okay, thank you for listening.